Hi, welcome to the Beehive. My name is Atul Rajani. I'm here to talk about how the small things in life, if we get them right, it leads to true transformation. Over the coming weeks and months, we've got some great guests who are going to share their insights, their knowledge, their wisdom, and help us through this journey we call life. So, hi, Vasudha. Welcome to the Beehive, where you can be anything you wish to be. It's a real pleasure to finally meet you and have you sitting here on the couch with us to start a conversation. I'd like to start with you just giving us a bit of a background about what inspired you to write Glow and what that means to you as an author, that book.
First of all, thank you so much, Atul, for having me on board. I really appreciate this. I can't wait to see what you guys will come up with. You have given me your melatonin supplements, and I can't wait to try them out. So, as far as Glow was concerned, I've always sort of treated my own body as a laboratory as far as health and wellness is concerned. Right. I was diagnosed with grade 4 endometriosis way back in, I think it was 2006, 2007, when people hadn't even, heard of endometriosis. And the only way I sort of calmed down the symptoms, because it is an incurable disease, was by, eliminating certain foods, increasing some nutraceuticals, all of that. Of course, that did not cure my endometriosis, but it had a lot of other cascading benefits. So, during this process, I was reading up a lot on herbs and supplements and foods and whatever. And I found that whatever books were there in the market, I felt that they were really textbook.
Okay.
And I just wanted to lighten up the entire format and write from experience and sort of, in my own way, even change the idea of beauty beyond it being merely cosmetic and beyond skin. So that's what inspired me.
I mean, from a personal level, beauty is not something that's directly related to me, but I live with two sisters and a wife, and of course, Mum used to be there as well. And what I've seen as a recent trend is beauty is no longer just about putting something on the surface. What you put on you actually needs to be something that's good for you. So I think you're very much in line and in tune with how the industry is starting to change. There's a lot of chemicals and there's a lot of the wrong stuff in a lot of the beauty products that exist. So I think the kind of things you're talking about and you're doing is leading it in that direction of it needs to be more natural, it needs to be better for you, it needs to be something that's not damaging for you.
I think, first of all, I want to say that everyone is a beauty person, especially the guys, who steal cosmetics.
Steal your secrets.
No, steal their wife's skincare. Use their shampoos and their body washes.
A little bit guilty there, but
exactly,
let's move on from that point.
Everyone is a beauty person. No, but coming back to your point about, I just think the whole idea of holistic beauty, and I've seen that in myself, Atul, is that everything, every choice you make can either make you more beautiful or less. And when I say beautiful, I don't just mean that, perfect features, perfect skin.
Yes.
Beauty for me is the energy you exude,
Absolutely.
right? And that has to do a lot with, your thoughts, the kind of person you are, the choices that you make, all of that. Also things like meditation. When I started meditating, and in fact, the whole idea of meditation now, after, I don't know, maybe like more than 15 years of me practicing yoga in one form or the other has also changed. But, meditative practices, now we have proof that they reduce psoriasis and eczema and things like that. Yeah. The food that you eat, we were talking earlier about food intolerances and allergies and, mindlessly eating a burger or bread or whatever, anything that increases inflammation in your body, that has to show up on your skin. So to treat beauty as merely cosmetic, that, this skincare serum will do everything for me. No, that will just take you to a certain point. But more than anything else, actually you don't even need that skincare serum if you're drinking enough water, if you're doing your meditation, you're making the right choices in food, you're staying away from toxic people. I mean, there's that inner glow and inner radiance that is just like you can't get that with just a skincare serum, know?
Firstly, love what you just said. The last sentence has my brain popping because there's another 5 or 6 conversations I want to have with you just basis what you've just said. So I'll try and remember them and do it in some kind of a sequence. I'll start with the aspect of yoga that you just spoke about. Now, I had a crippling back injury back when I was in my mid-20s. So I went from being a semi-professional stroke professional sportsman into essentially a weight trainer, a bodybuilder. During that process, I crushed my spine. So if you know the construction of the spine, you have a disc bone. So I basically I crushed my spine in 3, 4, 5, 6 places. So the discs were gone, effectively. They were just absolutely flat. I went to the doctors because I was, of course, in severe pain. And they said to me, the only thing you can do, this is in the UK, only thing you can do is take out what's left of the disc and fuse the bone together. Now, I still had aspirations of playing professional tennis even at that age, at 25. So I just asked him, I was a kid, I just asked him, when can I play tennis again? Will it be 6 months? Will it be 9 months? He actually laughed and said, you're going to be in a wheelchair in a period of time.
Oh my God.
So forget anything to do with sports or tennis. And I remember very clearly at that point, I made a choice and I made a decision that everything that man just told me is not going to happen. He's not the guy who's going to decide my destiny. So I started down the route of Eastern philosophies, and I started with a physiotherapist, and he brought me back to at least 80% of what I used to be. So I sort of somehow managed that condition. Took about a year and a half of hardcore physiotherapy, but it reached a limiting point. Then it was, in fact, my father who suggested going to Chennai and going to some of the Ayurvedic centers there, which I did for about 10 days. And then from that point, I started yoga. Now, yoga was life transforming. All of those injuries, all of those problems, the fact that literally for 6 months I was horizontal because I could not move, to hopping, skipping, jumping. Yoga made a tremendous, tremendous impact on my life. It made me feel 10 years younger. I was also following not a yogic diet, but my yoga teacher taught me that only eat what is in season. So the earth is giving you what it's meant to give you in a particular season, so you should only be eating that. The West has every single possible produce. Any point of the year, you can have whatever you want. You can have strawberries in summer, you can have strawberries in winter. It doesn't make a difference. Now, the earth doesn't give you strawberries in winter. It's only meant to give it to you in summer.
Destructive privilege. That's what I call it.
First time I've heard that, but absolutely. And it's utilizing our privilege and absolutely in the wrong way. So coming to India and finding a very simple yoga teacher, I started doing at least an hour of yoga a day. Meditation became a big part of my life, and it helped me deal with the madness of life that we have now constructed. Multitasking has gone to a level where we think it's actually something positive, but it's not. The quality of the work we're doing is actually getting less. But coming back to the yoga aspect, it was something that I tell everyone, especially in the West, if you follow the yogic principle to life, it's the way to lead your life. Now, you've, of course, taken it to a very different level to me. I came back from a crippling injury to being absolutely healthy, happy. I'm leading a 100% normal life now. What inspired you to become a yoga, to get to that level of knowledge in yoga?
So, just this entire conversation reminds me of this thing that, there's this meditation teacher called Mala Barua. She said something like, it's just when you go through the difficult periods of your life, like before that, you're just so outwardly focused, just thinking about the outward world, and something traumatic happens to you, and that's when you pause and you start looking inside for the answers. So something like that happened with me. I went through an extremely traumatic phase in my life, and it was, of course, the endometriosis. I had, 5 IVFs. In fact, I had become a size 14 at that point. And, two gynecologists, they told me that this is your body now. You will never you will not lose weight and whatever, because I had taken menopausal injections that really made me put on weight. It had transferred the fat from my hips to my ribs. So I mean, and when somebody gives you this sort of a diagnosis, I feel like you become a little bit more patient in life and your intention becomes a lot more deep.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, usually people start yoga and these kind of practices with a very surface level, very short term objective, like I want great skin or I want to lose 20 kilos or things like that. It's like, using a sword to slice a cucumber.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like, I want to do yoga not because I wanted a banging body or amazing skin. I just wanted to find some peace. That is it, nothing. And within a year, I started noticing that, my body was getting back to the way it was. I'm feeling much more energetic. And, and even ever since I started doing yoga, just like things have transformed in my life karmically. Of course, the whole definition of yoga has changed from them. Like it all started with like a very, very strong asana practice. I used to do sometimes 3 hours of yoga every day, Ashtanga yoga. In fact, I have so many yoga injuries because I took it really far, being a very ambitious person that I am. So now, of course, like the idea of yoga for me is my half an hour of meditation, which is also really transformed from then till now.
It does. Yeah.
It has come to that. So I think yoga really was my first love in many ways. And I just wanted to get deeper and deeper into the science. And, I really wanted to be a yoga teacher. In fact, I taught for a few years as well in Delhi at my Guruji studio, Seema Sondhi studio. But then, so many other things have happened. And, I just feel like because my life is so outwardly focused and I get so much energy from on Instagram from tens of thousands of people.
Right.
I feel like I need my yogic practices for myself because, you teach a class. And in fact, I was teaching 2 classes, one after the other. It's very draining. So, so whatever my knowledge is about yoga and whatever, I'm using it for myself. I'm putting it into my books and, I just did it because I loved it. That's it. No other reason. And because I found that it was so transformative for me.
And for a lot of people out there who haven't actually partaken in yoga or don't really understand it, I mean, what in a sentence would you say to them to inspire them to try yoga? What is it that...
I can't... in a sentence, I just want to tell them that I think the biggest excuse for people not doing yoga is, I'm not flexible. So yoga is not for flexible people. If you're really flexible, then probably you should not be doing yoga because you don't want like hyper flexible joints. Those very loose joints. Like, I find a lot of hyper flexible people doing yoga and lots of yoga, and which is not a good thing, right? So if you're not flexible, that's a great thing. That's what my teacher used to say. If you're not flexible, it's great because you will use your strength to increase your flexibility. Like I'm not flexible at all. So I had to use my strength to increase my flexibility.
Right.
So with that, I became flexible also and I became stronger because I was working harder. So that's one thing. And then secondly, I want to tell people is that yoga is something you do off the mat. Like your asana practice is just going to be a first phase of yoga. You will get into a second, third, fourth phase until you reach the point where you start living your entire life with awareness.
Yes.
And that is the ultimate aim. And because, people think that, no, I'm very aware, I'm aware of what goes on in the world. But most people are living life unconsciously. They don't even realize. Like you look at your phone and suddenly you realize, my goodness, every day I'm spending 4 hours on the phone. Where does the time go? That's 4 hours of digital heroin that we are just losing our minds in. So if I can train my mind to become conscious that, okay, it's been 15 minutes and I have the discipline to pull my mind out, which doesn't happen. Sometimes I feel my right hand has turned into a phone. But yeah, I mean, you asked for one sentence, but I've given you like 20 sentences.
And they've all been fantastic. And again, I'm going to pick up on something you just said. I'm right there with you, and I completely agree with you on this state of consciousness we all believe we have, and we don't actually have. This was around the time when Facebook first launched. I would, on a regular basis, analyze my day. So I was the guy who would... from the minute I wake up to the minute I sleep, actually per minute, per 10 minutes, per hour, see how I've allocated my time, how I've spent it. And I'd got my efficiency down to a loss of 12 minutes a day. So I knew that I was wasting 12 minutes a day. The rest was absolutely... And when I say utilization of time, so 30 minutes is for eating, I'll be eating for 30 minutes. Even if I allocate like an hour for exercise, or I allocate 20 minutes for reading a book, or 30 minutes for teaching myself something new, etc., etc., etc. And I'd even allocate a time of 30 minutes for wasting time. So I had 30 minutes of just do whatever you want to do and see, So that's how I built my level of efficiencies to the highest level that I thought was possible. When social media came into play and Facebook started, I was there with the Facebook revolution happening. And in a matter of a year, I found myself spending close to 2 to 3 hours on Facebook. And when I was scrolling, I looked at the content of what I was actually looking at. I was looking at where people were going, as in the sense that they were saying, now flown here, now gone here, now eating here. It was a picture of some food. I was like, Atul, you're spending 2.5 hours looking at this junk? Like,
I know, but you can't stop. It's just
this addictive part to it. So at that point, I actually switched off Facebook. So I disconnected myself. And there's a thing about taking, I'll call them hard calls in life, because you're not part of what everyone else is doing. So that kind of, in some senses, disconnects you from society. At the same time, I don't wish to put myself into practices that society has, which are actually detrimental to me. So by disconnecting from Facebook, I became, I'm not going to use the word a pariah, it's a little bit extreme, but to say that I was now not part of the flock. I was doing my own thing. And I only came back into social media with, Instagram, because I felt there's actually a lot of content that I enjoyed taking in. So I'm a tennis player and I'm now a paddle player. So I've been watching these reels and again to learn techniques and so on and so forth. So, and again, I fix the time. I'll say 20 minutes is.
And you can stick to that?
And okay, 8 out of 10 times, yeah, because it's not something that's an addiction for me. It's something that I'm using for myself. For me, if you say, if I head to the paddle court and I'm meant to be there for 2 hours and I come back 4 hours later, that'll happen. So I'm addicted to sports. But I think this concept of being mindful and consciousness is something that people don't truly understand. And I don't think even I truly understand it. I'm learning that journey. But I've realized in life that if you do the small things right, the big things will happen themselves.
Exactly. That's it. There's nothing more to it.
And it was actually a mathematics teacher that taught me that. In the sense that he said, Atul, you take care of the left part of the equation and the result will come. So I kind of used that philosophy in everything that I do in life. Just put the input right and the output will take care of itself. And you talked about, toxicity and negativity. And again, being someone who's understood Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism, I've read the books. As much as I can. I'm not a scholar by any shape or form. But I found there's certain things that link all of these books together. And in Hinduism, which I spent more time on, it was in many aspects a science. And that's something which I connected with. There was a science to the way in which things were being done. And the more deeper you go into the philosophies, you'll see more and more science showing itself. And it came back to that laws of physics, laws of chemistry. If you put the input in, the output will take care of itself. And I think that's inherent in a lot of the things that society here in this country actually has, which is what's drawn me here and a big reason why I've moved from the UK and I now live in India. I think we have everything here. It's such a rich culture. My Hindi is extremely poor, so you have to excuse me when I speak.
Now you'll have to speak in Hindi for the next 5 minutes.
Yes,
now on.
So excuse me when this all starts. But जो कहते धरती के अंदर कुछ है. There's energy in that soil.
It's just that हमें इस धरती की इज्जत करनी सीखनी चाहिए, जो कि हम बिल्कुल भूल रहे हैं. Like today is last day of Navratri, Devi ki puja, but they don't understand because Devi is what we're on, Dharti, earth.
Yes.
Hacking away at trees, packing up like our water bodies, like no respect for that at all. तो ये हमें अपने आप को remind करना पड़ेगा कि सबसे बड़ी देवी हमारी भूदेवी है.
Absolutely, very well said. Absolutely. I would add one more thing to that for me, the first true Devi was my mother. And my mother and father were the first aspect of Bhagwan for me, because respecting them, looking after them was the first puja for me.
Now you're making me feel bad. If my mom watches this, she's like, you had that opportunity. You didn't call me a Devi. You've taken your points here.
No, but you've taken Mother Earth.
Please. Mother Earth is not watching.
But I love what you're saying and how you're putting it. And I think There's a lot for us to learn from what you're saying, and a big part of this podcast and what we're looking to achieve is actually this. We just want to be talking with people who have an aspect of being grounded, of being mindful, and sharing stories and sharing knowledge and sharing wisdom that can actually help all of us, And I repeat myself, it's just doing the small things right, and big things will happen. We're kind of just lost on looking at the result rather than the input. And talking with you just for the last 15, 20 minutes now, I mean, I'm learning, and I'm loving having the conversation with you, So I hope everyone out there who's watching us as well is sort of can pick up things that you're saying, and
I mean, if they want to learn, they'll learn. If they don't want to, they don't. I mean, I don't take responsibility for anybody's learning.
Not at all. No, that's entirely up to them. We just gotta, I mean, put it out there. It's up to them what they wish to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk to me a little bit more about the other facets of your career. And I mean, looking at your CV, it's very, very impressive. I mean, sort of 10 out of 10 on all the things you've achieved. So just talk me a little bit through about your journey and how you hyperachieved so many times in life.
Hyperachieved, well, yeah. I don't actually see myself as that. I think it's got a lot to do with imposter syndrome.
Okay.
And I think every woman suffers with imposter syndrome. So I think it's got a lot to do with that. And it's also got a lot to do with the fact that I lost many years of my career in between, of like the whole traumatic phase and whatever. And then when I got my career back, I just thought I am going to milk it.
Yeah,
and milk it I did. And you have no idea. Next year I have so many surprises. I mean, 2 big surprises for everyone. So
do you want to share anything?
Well, one is my book, and the second I don't want to talk about right now.
Maybe we change your water for some vodka and try and get some.
I don't drink actually. I mean, if somebody gives me a glass of wine, and I've never enjoyed drinking, but I used to love smoking. I've stopped doing that. I'm very proud of myself. I never thought that I could do it, but I did. I mean, of course, I had an asthma attack. So, I mean,
you're actually asthmatic?
I think it was just sort of, this really bad viral that I got. I don't know whether I'm actually asthmatic or it's because we live in Delhi, which is extremely polluted, and it's just, one of those things. But either way, I'm really glad not to smoke because, otherwise it was like, there's no conversation without a cigarette. There's no drink without a cigarette. There's no, I mean, it used to be like that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the whole hyper achievement thing comes from, A, I'm an ambitious person. B, I love my work. Just, this is my life path. And I'm so glad to be on my life path. Like very few people can actually say, I must have done something so good. And the universe is so kind to put me on my life path. And thirdly, it's just imposter syndrome. Like, I go out of my way to prove that, myself.
Yeah. No, I think that's fabulous. And, this aspect of what you just said, again, loving what you do. I think if you're lucky enough to be in that situation, it's nirvana in many ways. You get to live most of the hours of your life doing something you love doing. There was a time when I was in the UK and something about the culture that stuck with me. People would live for the weekend.
I stayed in London for about 2 years, 2.5 years. Yeah, it's very...
So it's a culture it's the weekends, head to the pub, have a drink, forget the weeks of stress or unhappiness, whatever you want to call it, and book 3 holidays a year. And that culture, that society would spend a lot of money on holidays and the weekends, but they would be miserable from Monday to Friday. And actually I'd started writing a book about this, about living your life in the opposite fashion. You're not living for the weekend, you're living for a Monday. You want to go to work. You want to love what you do. And if you do that, and you're lucky enough to do that, and I think all of us, one way or another, we should try and find what that is that we love to do that we can earn from, and I think...
I mean, if we have the privilege to, and again, that's where yoga comes in. Because another thing that yoga teaches you, and again, like I just want people to write this down somewhere and remind themselves that yoga is something you do off the mat. So, very few people can do it. And there are times, like especially when I'm writing my book, I mean, oh God, writing is such a painful experience. It's really not like the
Yeah.
You know, you're
How you see
sitting
it
in
on the films.
yeah, like, you know, seeing the films that somebody's sitting in the cottage and there's greenery all around.
Don't ruin my dream. This is exactly how I
No,
see
no,
it.
no. It's absolutely not like that, because I've carried my laptop with me to Kerala. I'm going to write there. It's so beautiful, the ambience. I do nothing, everything but write. It's only when I'm sitting in my room in this uncomfortable couch, in my spine in a C shape, am I able to write. So you know, I mean, work is work. Work is painful. For a lot of people, work is salary. You know, most people, 99% of the people in the work, they need to. I mean, unfortunately, we are in this sort of, or fortunately for many people, in this capitalistic society where we have to work. So what yoga also teaches you to do is to accept things and to be an observer. All those things, they really help you if you are really not in a sort of, you know, the most stimulating job. And like, most people in the world are not in a stimulating job. It's a utopian fantasy that everybody can do what they love. That's what I feel.
Which, I mean, let's connect the dots there. So I think that's a fabulous piece of advice. Rather than heading to the pub, having drinks and having, you know, these kinds of things to sort of balance out the pain of working the week, you should be doing things like yoga. It's actually very positive for you. It's actually very good for you. It's energetically very...
Yeah, I mean, spending time in nature. And, you know, what is the definition of yoga? Your definition of yoga could be praying. You know, praying is also, there are many types of yoga. There's karma yoga. Karma yoga is when you're doing something for the society, you're contributing, you're doing daan, you're feeding people, you're going to the, you know, the karma yoga is, and forget about anything else. Karma yoga is doing things for your parents, for your neighbors, for your friends and whatever. That is also yoga.
Absolutely.
Bhakti yoga is also yoga, you know, where you pray and you get into that entire sort of, you know, space in your mind where you're in love with God. You know, that whole Mirabai concept of, you know, of love.
Yes.
With the, you know, with the divine, with somebody we cannot see. Then there is, of course, Raj Yoga, which is what is your meditation and whatever. You know, so there are many different types of yoga. You can be a karma yogi. You can be a, you know, you can choose your kind of yoga. That is one. Or you can just, you don't need to be a part of, you don't need to be, you know, part of a ritual or whatever. You know, you can just go spend time in nature. You can read a nice book. You can go meet your friends for a drink and like meet people who are really nice and instead of spending time in toxic places. And I'm telling you, like, people like to go out every weekend drinking, but you can literally count on your fingertips how many times you've had fun in the whole year.
Yeah.
You won't even fill out one hand, the fingers of one hand.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, but still people like to go out, and, you know, it's expensive to go out, and, you know, imagine the amount of money you save. So now I only go out when I feel like I've been called with love. Like, again, like what you said, you know, I really sort of related to what you said, that I don't want to become a pariah. I don't want to be, because now there's this new trend of like, don't call me, you know, I'm an introvert. Like, everybody wants to become an introvert suddenly.
Wow.
You know, on Instagram, everybody's like, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't like to go out. I don't want to meet people. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, go meet people who have called you with love, where you feel like, where you have good energy, you know, you'll feel so refreshed and you'll feel so energized when you come back. So earlier, even I used to be like that, you know, I don't want to meet people. Oh my God, I don't want to pick up this phone call. But then I realized that I'm just cutting myself off, and there's so much joy in meeting the right kind of people.
Completely agree.
You know?
Completely agree. And we've been lucky in our journey. So my wife and I, we had a choice of living in Europe and coming back to India, and we decided to come back to India just to be close to family. And we have a beautiful little girl, and we wanted her to be close to her grandparents, so on and so forth. And being where we are and where we live, I never expected at this age, at this time, to be forming bonds with friends, creating friends again, and having people who you want to spend time with, enjoy spending time with, are positive. Give as much as they take. You know, there's always a flow of energy in friendships. And I lost a lot of my amazing friends from the UK because, of course, I moved to India, and that was that. And if you gave me the choice of going out 100 nights of the year with, let's say, people who are associates, versus 2 nights of the year with great friends, I'll take those 2 nights any day of the year.
Exactly.
Any day of the year. And we've been really lucky to find a great set of people, and who I can actually genuinely say, you know, you want to spend time with them. And time is the most precious thing we have. It's the only thing you can.
Yeah, it's the best commodity. Yeah.
You can't buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you have, you cannot buy time. So if we respect ourselves truly, that means we will respect the utilization of time truly. That means you will actually spend your time in a way in which is positive or good for you, if that positive loop exists. So I think society where it is and how things have headed has very much been down the route of not really enough self-respect, not really enough focus on utilizing this gift. Time is a gift, and none of us know how long we have. We don't know whether it's not. I don't know whether it's another 15 days or 15 years or 25 years. You just don't know. So each day, and people tend to only learn or understand this truly when you go through something very harsh or tough in life. You lose a loved one.
And then you realize that all the things that I was complaining about was just like wasted time.
Exactly. So I was, I mean, sort of, I guess, switching tone and going down the route of a little bit more lighthearted. I mean, during these times of really tough times, now when I look back at them, I'm really glad they all happened, because I met great people, I made great friends, I improved myself as an individual through that time. And that last thing I've just said, that's something which, I mean, given the tough things that you've been through, how do you feel that impacted, from a positive sense, you as a person?
I think it made me the biggest thing that happened because of that was that it made me much more compassionate, and it made me much more vulnerable and being open about my own vulnerabilities, because I used to in my 20s have this real tough girl act.
Right.
I used to act tougher than I actually am, and I was like, I don't give a shit and whatever, and like be not compassionate. Why can't this person just do this? And just be like, I don't think I was a very nice person.
Huh?
And I feel like whatever I went through is something that made me much more compassionate, much more grounded, much more grateful.
Yeah.
There's so much realization, like you said, life will go by, and and also like much better at judging and choosing people. Like I've lost the need to be cool.
Yeah, that's 100% right there with you.
I don't believe in being cool and being edgy and being badass. No, I want to be open. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be happy. I want to be compassionate. I want to be a fool, because that's where the joy is.
Absolutely, yeah. Very well said. Very well
Yeah.
said. I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and we were having a similar conversation. But I remember saying to him that I'm very happy just being me now. I don't know whether it's age or experience or things that one goes through. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone.
Yeah, you are right. I am wrong.
Yeah, that's it. And that means whenever you go anywhere, you get to be your most authentic self. And that authentic self is, I think, what we all seek one way or another. That sort of balancing on the inside. And it means that you're not sort of, swayed by people, and also you spend the right time with the right company. Like, if you don't like me, that's okay. I don't take it personally, because that just means we're not meant to be friends, or we're not meant to know each other. That's fine. There's 6 billion other people out there in this world. If you don't like me, fair enough. But I'm not going to try and do anything different to try and get you to like me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I really feel like people are like supplements. You need to choose the right ones.
Speaking of, great jump there, but speaking of supplements, what do you take to sort of, I mean, you look great. You're obviously looking after yourself and doing the right things. So tell us a little bit about that.
So what do I take? I take omega-3. That is an essential for me in winter. And depending on my deficiencies, I take supplements. In between, I used to take vitamin D, which is wonderful. People don't understand how good vitamin D is
Especially in India, people don't get it.
Yeah, it's like, have you seen Death Becomes Her?
I have.
So have you seen like when Meryl Streep takes the elixir of youth and suddenly her hair is like whatever, her body, her skin, that's exactly what vitamin D does for you. So I take that if I require it, because, you can have vitamin D toxicity. Then I take a multivitamin because I had some, I had injured my shoulder. So I was taking a multivitamin with folic acid and a couple of other things. B12, folic acid and B12, because I'm deficient in B12. So basically these days I'm taking omega-3, I'm taking a multivitamin, and Yeah, that's it. But other than that, I take, and yes, at night before sleeping, I take CBD oil because, I have a lot of internal injuries. But I take a lot of nutraceuticals. Like as soon as I wake up, I eat like 3 leaves of tulsi. Tulsi is a nutraceutical.
It is.
It is. Then I take a teaspoon of coconut oil because I feel like I have been on such a, my goodness, ever since I stopped smoking, it's like I just need food in front of me. Bags of chips, namkeen, aloo bhujia,
You're killing me right now, but
just,
yeah.
I know. And then I was traveling. Something happens to me again when I travel. It's like free pass to eat all kinds of junk. So, oh my God, last 6 months were just absolute mayhem. So because of that, I do feel like my gut health has gone. And if you eat all these foods, you eat a lot of sugar, there's a, everybody has candida in their body.
Yes.
So, that increases, when you have a lot of, with sugar and, processed foods and whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm actually taking in, from my side, because I read this, my Bible is this book called Healing with Whole Foods. Some Pritchard, I think his name is, whatever, Healing with Whole Foods. It's a big book like this. It's Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. So with that book's help, I'm taking a teaspoon of coconut oil with a pinch of Lakdong turmeric, a pinch of pepper, and Ceylon cinnamon.
Fantastic.
So all these things together, it's just like a, sort of working against the candida and trying to avoid sugar. And yeah, so basically quite simple. But yeah, I do love my supplements.
I mean, for a lot of people out there, I think you know this probably in more detail than I do, but in our family, we've had issues in leaky gut. We've had issues with inflammation in the gut. Candida is effectively a bug which is bad for your gut health. And by eating copious amounts of sugar, it's feeding those bugs. And growing those bugs.
Absolutely, yeah.
So sugar is effectively one of those things that if we could ban it, we really should. I mean, it's.
But it's so tasty.
You're not helping. You're not helping here.
Okay.
But and for someone who's obviously had gut-related issues, it's one of those things that it's actually worse than drugs. It's more addictive.
Yeah, it is very addictive. Oh my goodness, yeah.
And
it causes migraines. And now I've realized all my migraines are with sugar.
And because it creates these insulin spikes. The minute that insulin spike happens, your body has a propensity to move into fat production.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, and of course, you have the mood swings as well. You have the sugar high and the sugar down. So it's effectively operating the same, which is as hardcore drugs. So if it's when it comes to gut health, do you take probiotics as well? Anything like that?
I have to. I should take one every day, Enterogermina, but I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting to take supplements. Omega-3, because I take it very regularly. Yeah. Even collagen I used to take, but I don't know. I'm doing like a lot of meditation and everything these days, and it's just like I'm becoming vegetarian, sort of, so it kind of just makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
Do you know there's vegan collagen out there?
I know, but does it even exist?
It does.
But is it as good as collagen? Because, when I was taking it, I used to love collagen, and I wish I could love collagen again. But every time I try to eat it now, I just feel so gross.
You're sort of getting to around these days, from the research which we've done, 70-80% efficacy is there of the vegan collagen compared to fish collagen. So beef collagen is considered to be like
that's what
the strongest, and the best. A lot of people, of course, in India will not have the beef collagen, and even the type of whether it's the fish are sourced from China or from Japan or Korea, it all makes a difference in the quality of the collagen and effectively the absorption. So if we talk about bioavailability, with a lot of supplements that we take, I think there's a little bit of a lack of understanding that, simply put, if you take a gram of any nutraceutical, you're only getting about 10-15% of.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah.
So we are, the research that we've done, and I think where the sector is going. You take curcumin. We talked about if you combine that with, it's now a well-known fact, if you combine it with pepper, the absorption rate goes up 2 times, even 3 times.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the science out there is now going towards finding ways in which you get a high bioavailability. But I think with nutraceuticals in general, and you can tell me from your experience, it's about taking the right supplement consistently at the right dosage, and you will get the benefits of it.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like it's a long-term insurance of sorts.
Yeah.
And people say that, oh, but our dadis and nanis, that's the biggest thing. Hamari dadi nani to kabhi liya nahi. But your dadi nani wasn't like on Instagram all day. Your dadi wasn't going to work. There was no sort of Wi-Fi. There was not so much, is radiation a right word?
Yeah,
I
yes,
don't know what's
yes, radiation. Yeah.
Bluetooth. There's so many things that there's pollution and the kind of food that she was eating. So I feel like supplementation, although one should not take too much supplementation. Okay, so few things that people don't understand about supplementation is to digest the supplement, it needs to be of very good quality, and B, your gut health needs to be really good.
Absolutely.
To be able to digest. Lots of people, they take so many supplements and then they're like, mujhe to kuch hua hi nahi. But the thing is that, what about your gut health? First, you need to start working on your gut health, you know. I think one of the things that you need to do is, first you need to eliminate things and then you need to add on things. You can't be like, okay, I'm going to eat a donut every day, but I will take omega-3 capsule because that capsule will do nothing.
Absolutely.
You know, it'll get crushed under the weight of that donut.
Correct.
So people need to first eliminate and get rid of all of those things, and then you start adding supplement on a good, gut with good flora inside in the gut, and then you see the effects of that. And just take and also rotate your supplements. 3 months something, 3 months something. Take a break. Take 2-3 supplements max. A lot of people take a lot of supplements at the same time, and sometimes unnecessarily so. And then they're like, I don't know what is doing what. And people have to be. That's what I'm talking about. Mindfulness, awareness. All these things are very important. I feel like people who are not mindful and aware, they don't even feel the changes in themselves. They don't even realize when their gut health improves, when their skin improves. So that is also very important. Before you say mujhe to kuch hua hi nahi, bhai, are you really mindful and aware of your own self?
Yeah.
Which I find 90% of the people are not.
I agree. And I'll add to what you've just said. So gut health is paramount. If your gut is not doing its job, you will not absorb anything good into your body. You can eat all the protein you want. Carbohydrates, of course, have to be careful with. You can also eat good fats as much as you want. Your body will not absorb the nutrients that you need it to. So the absorption, effectively with poor gut health, you just can't absorb the nutrients that you're putting into your body. And a big part of that also comes down to sleep.
So true. Yeah.
Like how much you're sleeping, the quality of sleep, that will effectively take care of 80-90% of the problems that we face in health. So talk to me about your philosophy around sleep and how you manage it.
It's very important because I've noticed that, your hormones also get imbalanced, right? Especially your hunger hormone.
Yes.
When you don't have enough sleep, then I'm reaching out for I don't know if there's Kalakand in the house or Barfi. I'll just attack all the sugar and I'll just attack
I'm going to stop the podcast and go to my snack cupboard right now. And
you have a snack cupboard.
Which is
everyone knows that you have a snack cupboard now. So much for gut health.
Busted on that and on beauty products as well. Thanks. Thank you for today.
Atul is into skincare and into snacks. No, but as far as sleep is concerned, I make absolutely the wrong choices when I have lack of sleep. And what I like to do is I like to go to sleep before 11 o'clock for sure.
Perfect.
I am in bed by 9 or whatever. I watch some television. I try not to scroll on my phone, but it's so difficult, Somehow your hand just reaches your phone and suddenly you're on Instagram without even realizing. I mean, that's how unconscious we are about our choices, right?
Yes.
But I try to stay away from the phone because that makes such a huge difference. There's something about the light of the cell phone which is so draining.
It's the blue light.
It's the blue light, which prevents the melatonin, from forming, right?
Yeah.
If you're on your cell phone. So I avoid that. Thankfully, I've started reading books again, and I've got really interested in reading books. I read this amazing book called Butter, and that got me back into reading. So, I've started reading before going to bed. I like to sleep before, lights out before 11 o'clock. And of course, sometimes I take CBD oil, which actually helps me sleep steadily through the night. Because sometimes what happens is that I go to sleep on time, but then I wake up in the middle of the night. The other thing that I feel like comes in between people's, sound long sleep is they don't drink enough water in the day.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
such a basic thing.
Yeah.
People will get up in the middle of, they don't drink any water. They go to bed completely dehydrated,
Yep.
and they're waking up 4 to 5 times at night just to drink lots of water.
Yes.
And because they're drinking so much water, they want to go to the loo as well.
Yeah.
So they have this really bad sleep cycle only because they're dehydrated.
Yep.
So it's a lot of basic things that you have to do. You have to make sure you hydrate through the day.
Yes.
You have to make sure that you sleep well. You sleep before a certain time.
Yes.
And whether it is Ayurveda or it's traditional Chinese medicine, every system of your body comes alive at a certain time.
Correct.
In Ayurveda, after 10 o'clock is, the Pitta period begins. So if you notice, you'll feel sleepy till at around 9 o'clock. And after you cross that threshold of like 10:30, you get a second wind.
Yes.
It's because in Ayurveda, it's the time of Pith, which is like, the fire time. That's where you get all fired up after that. So you have to go to sleep before that. Then again, there's that thing of making sure that you eat in time. So I like to eat my food around 6:30.
Yeah.
Maximum 7 is late for me. 6:30, I eat my dinner. Because also people don't realize that detoxification is the body's last priority, not the first. And earlier I used to be like, okay, after dinner at around 9 o'clock, I'll eat some almonds or whatever. I don't believe in very extended intermittent fasting because it doesn't suit my body. But definitely 6:30 till I wake up the next morning around 6:30. 7:30 I have my chai. So 12, 13 hours of fasting, because it's only after your digestion process is complete that your body will start detoxifying.
Correct.
And you have like 3 almonds or just a handful of something, or whatever that just comes in the middle of your detoxification process. So these are the few things that I live by. Being hydrated, sleeping in time, making sure no screen time. I try my best, but it's difficult, but I try.
Yeah.
And of course, like making sure that after dinner, I'm not eating anything so that my body has a chance to detoxify. A lot of the times what people do is they have a really heavy dinner and then they go to bed.
Yes.
And then they realize, why am I feeling so, मुझे क्यों इतनी थका हुआ मैं उठता हूँ, मुझे, मैं रात को सोया था लेकिन अभी भी मुझे थकान हो रही है. But इसलिए थकान हो रही है तुम्हें because you have had such a heavy dinner that your body has been working hard. It's just that just because you're sleeping doesn't mean your body is not working hard to digest that heavy food. And people eat that heavy food and then they just go to sleep, and that's why they wake up feeling not very fresh. So these are some basics, I feel.
हाँ, तो आप कह रहे हो कि जो मैं 15-20 चपाती खाता हूँ इतना नहीं खाना चाहिए?
15-20 chapati. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start reducing that.
15-20.
But tagging in, loved what you just said, and a lot to just to build from that. Sleeping at the right time. You refer to Ayurveda, and that's of course not something that I have a tremendous amount of knowledge over. I've been learning over the years I've been in India. But what I know is that the perfect time to start your sleep process is 9 p.m. That's when your melatonin production is at its
Oh, is it?
peak. So even if you're supplementing with melatonin, because a lot of people take supplements and melatonin is one of them to help sleep. Where it doesn't work is when you're taking it 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And saying that's what you should have, and that it doesn't work like that. So if you, as you get older, of course, the amount of melatonin your body naturally produces starts dropping. Now, that's just a natural phenomenon. And you'll see that when you were in your teens, you'd sleep 9-10 hours. When you got into your 20s, it's 7-8 hours. You get into 30s, it's 6-7 hours. Each decade, the amount of hours you'll naturally sleep is less. And that's just how the body's physiology is. As a result, on the basis of melatonin production being less and less and less. So supplementing something like melatonin, it has to be done right. It has to be done at the right time. And then you will get its benefits. And of course, the quality, you referred to it earlier, the quality of the products we take in is very, very important. It's got to be sourced right. It's got to be the right quality, the right dosage, and then it'll work and do what it's meant to do. The second thing you were talking about, when it comes down to the meal time that you have and digestion. Now, digestion and gut health, again, sleep, digestion, gut health, we're all sort of now rotating in this area. And I'll get to one point and move to the second. If these three things work correctly, what is on the outside will also start improving. So when we talk about skin health, we talk about hair and all the things that people physically see, this all starts improving. And something as simple as sticking to the same time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, your digestive process gets set. Your body knows when it's going to be fed, and therefore its efficiency of digestion is significantly higher, and therefore absorption is significantly higher. So when you start, on repeat, I'm saying it again and again, do the small things right. These are small things. Eat breakfast every day at 8 a.m., have lunch at 1 p.m., have dinner at 6:30. You will see tremendous benefits in the way in which you're absorbing nutrients. And of course, the quality of your sleep will get better, and it all connects forward. Now, when all of these things are working in a positive fashion, i.e. we've fixed the internals by doing the simple things of sleeping at the right time, eating at the right time, you start getting positive impact on your energy levels. You start getting positive impact on your skin, on your hair, etc., etc. When it comes to skin, if you don't mind me saying, you have glowing skin and looking fantastic.
Thank
so
you.
What do you do? What do you do for that?
Well, I use good skincare, obviously. But I feel like I sleep well.
Important.
I eat healthy. I go for my walks. I just like to keep my energy clean and not too toxic. So I feel like all of that sort of ends up on your skin. It's just that. Good skincare and good supplements, good diet, good sleep. It's all, like a lot of people, they ask me that, I have a lot of dark circles. You don't have dark circles. What is it that you do? So the first thing I ask them is, how much are you sleeping? Oh, I don't sleep.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's the most basic thing.
What do you expect?
That is the most basic thing. You have to sleep well. One of these doctors that I interviewed for my podcast, he's like a holistic cardiologist based in the US, and he said that you have to plan your sleep with the same amount of care that you plan your holidays, because most people are like, they'll get into bed, they'll do all sort of stimulating activities before, they'll watch some sort of very stimulating show, Arnab Goswami screaming, and my parents do that, and I'm like, what are you doing, you guys? So they watch something like that, and then they'll switch off the light, but they somehow sleep. But that's what people do. They have these stimulating conversations, they get into fights, they get into, they watch the stimulating television or whatever, and then they just switch the light off and they lie down, then they just expect sleep to come.
Yes.
Sleep will not come to you. You have to make an effort to go towards sleep,
Yes.
especially these days. So one of the things that I've really felt that works for me is that, मैं अपने आप को थकाना चाहती हूँ. थक जाना चाहिए बॉडी को before you go to bed. You can't expect that I'm not going to do any physical activity in the day and then I'm going to sleep also at night.
Correct.
So, I make sure that whether it's even like these days I'm only doing walks, but then I walk enough that I get tired. Like I want to go to bed tired. I think that should also be the thing. So you have to plan your sleep carefully. But as far as skin is concerned, I feel like supplements really improve the health of the skin. Like we were talking about vitamin D before.
Yeah.
Collagen, I felt, really impacted my skin beautifully. Though right now I just feel like I have this aversion towards it. But it really sort of like impacted my skin, made it very plump. I don't know how much it works. So it was just like sort of, placebo or whatever, because there's mixed data on it. Though more and more people are now supporting, the effects of collagen. Good quality collagen.
Yeah.
Not every collagen will work, because I've tried some collagen that actually didn't do anything. And then supplements, you have to, regularly take them for about 3 months.
Absolutely.
Again, your intention, like I always tell people when it comes to health and beauty and wellness, your intention really counts. If you are going to keep your intention shallow, that I want amazing skin, you will want amazing skin in a week and it's not going to happen.
Correct.
You have to give your routine, your sleep, your exercise, your supplementation, your diet 3 months of time. Especially supplementation happens over the long term. 10 years will pass and then you're like, okay, I look the same as I did in my 30s. And then you realize that, all the things that you were doing had these, sort of cascading benefits that affect you later. And then, when you're 40, you look 30, when you're 50. That's not the aim. That's not the aim at all.
No,
but you know what I'm saying?
The reason why I'm smiling or trying to stop myself from laughing, this is, I mean, verbatim the conversation I've had with friends, and I say to them about supplementation, 10 years from now, that version of you will thank you for the input you put in today.
Correct.
Which is basically exactly what you've just said. You know, that the 40-year-old version of you will say thank you to the 30-year-old version of you for doing what you're doing. And you talked about intention. I'll add intention plus discipline. So you're absolutely spot on. You need about 3 months for these supplements to work.
And like the intention is very important. Like I take omega-3, I take vitamin D to reduce the inflammation in my body. I don't take it that my skin should glow. Obviously, these are side effects. Your glowing skin, amazing hair, all of that. These are side effects of good health.
Yep.
They're not like, they're not apart from the health of your body, right? So that is going to happen. But keep your intention that, okay, disease correction, disease management, inflammation getting better, gut health improving. These are the intentions that we should go with, because then our discipline will stay with us longer. We won't keep checking that, have my pores become smaller? Every day in the mirror and they're like, this doesn't work, forget about it, doesn't work.
But that's connected with the instant gratification. The whole sort of social media explosion.
Instagram experience we want everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want that 50,000 likes.
But वो किसी को अब उतना तो
इतना तो नहीं होता.
इतना तो नहीं होता, yeah.
But, I think that's a fantastic sentence. I'm just going to try and repeat it. The side effects of good health. If you do things right, the side effects are good skin. Yeah. I love that it's a side effect.
Thank you.
It's not actually,
side effect is not the right word, but I can't. It's a symptom. Symptom.
It's beautifully put. I think that I couldn't put it better. I mean, I know there's a negative connotation with the word side effect, of course, but it just sounds fantastic. It is a side effect of doing things right. So you do things right, and all of those things that you want are going to happen. I mean, it's not why you're actually sitting there and doing what you're doing. You got to correct all of the internal mechanisms of the body, and you do that, you'll feel better, you'll feel healthier, and you'll enjoy these side effects that you're talking about. Talking a little bit more about, you talked about collagen and its impact. Collagen, like melatonin, like magnesium, like many things that we are supplementing, in your 20s, your body produces a fantastic amount of collagen and melatonin. You don't need to supplement. As you are going through the natural aging process, you start producing less. So therefore, if you do take collagen or you do take melatonin, all these kinds of supplements, you're effectively giving your body the same levels that you had in the 20s and 30s. Now, how much we go back to gut health, which is connected to sleep right, eat right, you will absorb the collagen that you're taking from an external source. It's not obviously produced from your own body. And you'll start seeing the kind of benefits. I'm not going to say you're going to turn into a 20-year-old, but certainly you're going to have that 5-10 year younger looking skin. So, and
it's not just that, I just want to be healthy when I grow older. Now, we're having this conversation. I'm telling you, some of the viewers, they'll be like, acha khao, acha so, acha ye karo, acha wo karo, yoga karo instead of going on a holiday, going to the pub. We want to live also. We want to have fun. And I'm like, when did our idea of fun become so destructive?
Absolutely.
That you have to blare music, you have to create noise pollution, you have to pollute your body, you have to destroy your body, and only then you will end up having fun.
That is,
तब मजा आएगा जब मैं बिल्कुल अच्छी तरीके से अपने आप को destroy कर लूंगा ना, lungs destroy कर लिए, gut destroy कर लिए, उसके बाद मजे आएंगे. And the thing is that that momentary pleasure, look, I mean, I'm no whatever. I have had a blast in my 20s, totally off my face in my 20s, but my body could deal with it.
I want more stories about this, by the way. I want to hear about these crazy things.
Rather forget. But I mean, once you turn 30, 35, your body starts, and a lot of people I find they try to plow through that, the symptoms that their body sends them, the signals the body sends them, that no, I want to party like I used to party in my 20s. Bhai, nahi ho sakta.
Nahi ho sakta.
वो नहीं हो सकता. You are destroying your health in your 70s and 80s, right?
Yes.
And I don't know about you, I'm really looking forward to growing old. I love that I'm in my mid 40s. It's just such a joy, and I'm looking forward to being in my 50s. I'm looking forward to being in my 60s, because I know Till then, I would have done my work. I would be just enjoying the fruits of my labor, and I want to be healthy to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Ye nahi party kar karke I am just like so much inflammation in my body that I have like all these metabolic diseases and whatever that I can't really enjoy in my old age.
I mean, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with what you've just said. I mean, I love what you've just said. Love. We can't be what we were in the 20s. We can't be what we were in the 30s. And I'm looking forward to each decade to come. My brother-in-law just turned 30. And I'll after we're done, I'll show you the WhatsApp message I sent him, which was, it only gets better now. Because everyone has been saying to him, bro, life's over, you've turned 30. You know, that whole thing. And I said to him, my 30s were so much better than my 20s. And my 40s have been so much better than my 30s. So much better.
20s and 30s, I was completely lost. And in my 40s, I've actually found my voice.
Yeah.
I found the confidence. I've found even more compassion than ever before. So I can't even imagine, like right now, I feel like, I actually don't want to say anything, because there's no words for it. But I can't believe that it can get better.
Yeah, and I completely am there with you. Like, and the thing is, I think the other thing is we need to enjoy the time that we have at that time. So I'm happy today because I have today.
Yeah.
When tomorrow comes, I'll be happy on that day. So therefore, whether I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, if I make it. My wife will kill me for saying this. She'll say, you better stay till your 90s and 100s. But it's just about enjoying each day, whether I'm 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It doesn't make a difference. And each decade brings something new.
Yeah.
We always think about what we're losing. We're not thinking about what we gain. Like, you're talking about compassion. You're talking about understanding. You're talking about knowing now who you are. You know which direction you're going. You know what you're good at. All of these things start developing in your 30s and into your 40s. And 50s, you're just sort of really enjoying that knowledge that you've put together. I'm not there yet, but I'm expecting for that to happen. So it's a wonderful way to look at life. And I hope for everyone out there who's listening and who's very kindly taken the time to listen to us speak today, takes what you've just said really to heart. I think it's a fantastic message you've just put out there. So
thank you. So kind.
Thank you for putting it so eloquently as well. And I guess on that note, from my heart and my head, I've got to say it's been an inspiring time with you today. And I've got to thank you on so many levels for taking the time out to be here with us and share your insights, your knowledge and your wisdom.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so good. I really enjoyed chatting with you. And this is what I talk about, good energy. I am going to be walking out of the studio feeling so good and completely energized for the rest of my day. So thank you.
No, likewise. Thank you so much. Thanks.